Thank you for watching this video. This will be on the cultural identity and salience reflection processing from the racial, ethnic, cultural identity development, and also parlaying with what we've done with the social location exercise. So based on the own cultural self-assessment, what I've realized as we go through the different pointers. No matter if it's age or generational influences. So I was born in 1980, definitely millennial in many ways, considering how, even for myself, technology was not the mainstream back then. There were other things, and how that would be very different from people that I walk with now. And there was no religiosity in my home. There were some religion, but it's not something that's a common practice as a habit, but more something that we worship. And then as born as a Chinese family, but immigrated later on to Canada, and coming back to from Canada back to Hong Kong, there's a sense of call it Hoi Guai or like ocean turtle, where we are not really sure of our identity because even though we are yellow skinned, but there's a lot of Western internal mindset and heart because of the upbringing where our um, family of origin and childhood was. uh, Even though there were a lot of cultural norms, especially Chinese cultural dates and practices that are still very much part of my life and my socioeconomic status, where my parents were definitely poor background, and even my grandparents much more in poverty, and from there being more on the middle class, and how that is compared to there's some classism, even though there's no caste system or certain discrimination, if you can say, in where I live in Hong Kong. But definitely classism is very prevalent, and how a simple example is someone that lives in a private home to someone that lives in a public home, or someone that is actually waiting to be relocated to a public home is already, or those that live in these cage homes, as some of you may know, if is already emphasis on their social economic status. And then the sexual orientation. We're not in a country where um, there there's that great divide. Is still predominantly heterosexual, but then there are a lot of or there's a group of people that are that I have even walked with that are in this area of LGBTQ, or in other ways that is more prominent and more so. And the national origin is another issue as a post-colonial city, where there's a lot of British remnants, but very much Chinese since the Hanover 97. And after what happened in the recent years, has caused a lot of stir. So culturally, I'm very mixed, and bringing back into uh, the great document by Dr. Phil Allen and Dr. Susan Merrows on the impact of leaders on racial, ethnic, cultural identity development on capacity for just action. I mentioned in the class sharing that I was, to be very honest, I'm still exploring this because it's not a topic that we even talk about even at home or regularly in the interactions that we come across. Uh, I would say the city is defined by um, uh, economics, education, health, and the multiplicity of different cultures. And in terms of the place that I work in the international speaking church, language is kind of what derives this community to be. So if you don't use English as a medium in terms of reading or speaking, unlikely you'll be connected to this church. And because of that, a lot of people that will come, not only in terms of language, but their background, their demographic, will be much more diverse or international, but also much more educated. And therefore, it's not so much of a discrimination against people that may not have this access or disability, but it does limit them from being part of this community. So in terms of the developmental stage, I do see myself from pre-contact. not being ignorant of it, being able to see it, to being more in the acceptance phase. We have two communities specifically, the Filipino and Indonesian ministry, but also we have a global outreach ministry that does help some asylum seeking family. Um, there is this connection, and we do have another local outreach that does connect more to the local grassroots families, and that can be people that are newly immigrants or people that are very local, and already there's a little bit of separation there. So it is something that I'm very aware of. And in terms of the implicit and explicit acceptance, I think I'm in both stages of pursuing that. And as a minister worker, we're almost getting to a disorientation of because of our church. Can be project of purchasing a new place where we are currently situated in a office building of 6 floors since 2007 and has slowly accumulated with a congregation around 3,000 adults and another 1,000 children from 0 to youth age. But the reality is the new location will likely encompass more of a community aspect where we're not in an office building where there will be more connection and bridging. But there's a disorientation for me as I uh, um, consider this assumption and belief in a few years' time that there will be more elderly local or we do have a population of helpers who are from Indonesia predominantly or Philippines or do have locals and also people who are new immigrants or people that are from China that may be very much in the access of this church. So this orientation comes is how do we connect with them? And for someone like myself, who even though I was born here, I would, even though that can be the presumption, but the connection with the local context or local news or local culture and things that impact them, there is a separation. So in terms of the impact of this cultural identity and salience reflection, I think the good thing I can share on my part is to have a good handle on both sides from a local and from a Western aspect. But still, for me personally, I'm divided because I'm not so committed to either side based on my background and my experience and my exposure. So this is my sharing on cultural identity and salience reflection. Thank you for listening.